Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. We're taking a look here today at CELO, and this is a big request from my community members because it just spiked up about 170% in just, I think, 12, 16 hours, so somewhere in there. So it's done some pretty interesting moves, and I want to make sure we cover this so you know how to navigate a type of trade like this because it's different, right? You would pretty much have to rely on Fibonacci retracement and major support and resistance levels, previous all-time highs, when we're in new all-time high territory, right? So we'll check that out, of course. We'll take a look at the charts. But before we do, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should do your own research at all times and make sure that you take ownership of your own trades and ensure that you just learn as much as you can from as many people as possible. My goal is to help you trade for a lifetime, not just for one day. So I try to help educate in the process, make sure you're a better trader. So feel free to subscribe if you like. Also check out my Patron account as well. I actually share all of my trades with my community members where I send out signals every time I take a trade so we can all kind of learn and grow together. So check that out in your own time, of course. Really good opportunity. Moving forward, I'm not a financial advisor, as I mentioned, so hope you sit back and enjoy and learn a little something here today. Let's check out the charts. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at CELO. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on, because any good trader will understand all the angles. And just before we do that, of course, we always like to preface for the fact that I use TradingView.com desktop application. Highly recommend this. Paid versions are better, of course, just because you get more than 2 indicators present at any given time. Link in the description below for a discount there for a free month. Check it out, see if you like it. So this is a 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. This is kind of what's going on with Bitcoin right now. We have a pretty constant, fluctuation within this channel here. So we got a channel. The support level for this channel is 46,800, and the resistance that's been tested multiple times here recently can't seem to break at about 49,300. Okay. So once we break 49,300, I think we're likely going to see 50,000 tested and broken next. Just a matter of time. But at this point right now, price is about 48,100 and essentially just kind of hovering within that channel. As far as the support levels, though, furthermore, as in regard to simple moving averages, the 50 is working as a resistance, and the 200 is a potential support that's working its way upwards, closer to about 46,800. But we'll see here in the next couple of weeks how how the price responds to that. I think it's likely that it won't get tested and the price will continue upwards, but that's just me personally. But all in all, Bitcoin is in a good state right now. I don't think we're going to see it hit much lower than 46,800. It's worked to be a pretty consistent and strong support level. Moving on to Ethereum, essentially the same thing. Only difference is that Ethereum's made a couple of moves here recently, contrary to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has been kind of selling off, whereas Ethereum's been kind of ramping up. So right now, Ethereum is testing its resistance at 3,250, 3,250. That is what's getting tested right now. So we'll see here in a little bit when this candlestick closes. We're only about an hour and a half in, so we don't know if this has been broken yet or not. But all in all, that's kind of what we're looking at here for Ethereum. Not much else to note except for the fact the price is up over the 50 now, which is fantastic, and the 200 is trailing behind. And if we do end up losing all this support here, we are looking at a 2,900 as a pretty strong support level. All right, that's kind of the state there. Now take a look here at CELO. I can see why I got asked to cover this here recently. It's pretty big movement in quite a long time. So I mean, usually CELO doesn't see this kind of spike increase. It did a while ago, like I think about a year ago. It had like this really insane jump up to like $20, but it retraced all the way back down. I think that was like an ICO date for a couple of other exchanges. Regardless, we're only focusing on this. This is the Binance exchange here for now, and the price is hovering right around 767. But just to clarify here and to preface, price is well over both moving averages, and furthermore, the price has increased upwards of what it hit about 1094. So roughly, to say $11, it hit that. So in one day. This day hasn't closed yet, but just in the 1 day period here, we're looking at about 171% increase. So typically what I like to recommend, kind of considering what we're looking at, is setting a support level at the previous most recent, all-time high, but also consider just, generally speaking, 50% as kind of the middle point, right? In other words, with the price retracing where it's at, from where it's at right now, we should expect it to come about halfway down, right, from where it started. Now, the cool thing is we have a recent or a previous all-time high here that will likely work as a support level. So we'll use that. And what we'll do is we'll also look at the Fibonacci retracement and go ahead and mark that as well, because there's probably going to be this is probably going to be really close to that zone, right? So let's go ahead and take a look here. So Fibonacci retracement, we put that at the most recent lowest point. And we put it on over here, and look at that. Yeah, it's right there. In fact, that's level with the most recent high. So yeah, so why don't we just go ahead and mark that too. So we got 2 support levels here. The price does end up coming down. There's a strong likelihood it will come down and try to bounce off that, but it's still a little too early to tell. But this kind of increase, I mean, honestly, it's very, I don't know, it's you want to be careful. Try not to buy into the hype. I hope nobody FOMO'd in at above $7. But if you did, there's a good chance it could continue to come back. But we want to see how it responds to the support level here first. Okay. So my prediction is for the price to come down before it comes back up. But that's just based on kind of normal averages. We don't know truly for sure at this point. We had a strong convergence on the MACD at about it was 4 days ago. So we had an indication that the price was going to spike. Probably not this hard, of course, but it did kind of precurse the fact that it broke previous resistance of the 200 simple day moving average right there. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the 4-hour chart, see what's going on here. We did have, of course, a strong MACD convergence here as well, and that actually told us just before the spike that it was going to happen. So let's go ahead and see if that kind of translates on the Ichimoku cloud as well. But generally speaking, we can see the price above both support levels of the moving averages. It ramped through that. Usually when we have this large of an increase, the biggest thing that you want to be able to kind of account for is the recent all-time high or the most previous all-time high, which we've already marked these 2 lines here, of course, but this was the all-time high here, essentially, because it closed at that point right on the 1-day chart. And then the 1-day chart here as well, it also shows that we had another close that was a resistance previously. So those are both considered support levels right now. So just keep that in mind. If the price continues to retrace back down, which I think is likely, then we're going to see it bounce, hopefully somewhere around the $6 range, $6 to $6.15 range. Now there's a chance it could go sideways and continue up from here. It's hard to say. There's no guarantees, but generally speaking, with what I see here so far, traditionally when you have this large of a spike on a coin with this kind of history, then you can pretty much expect the price to come back down. Now there's probably some strong fundamentals that essentially are catalysts that push the price up here today. There's no doubt that that's likely the case, unless it was a massive short squeeze that just kept going. The probability of it being some kind of fundamental is pretty big. So obviously do your own research. I don't know what those are. I really just look at the technical charts here for my community. But I can tell you that when you see something like this, there's something outside of just the traditional technical analysis, because even though we got an idea or it told us the MACD was converging at this point, we should not have expected this large of an increase. There's a chance the price pushed up and then squeezed out some shorts, but it shouldn't have went that high with just a short squeeze. We'll see. So take a look here at the 1-hour chart. Let's go ahead and quickly identify Ichimoku cloud, and look at that. Yeah, you can kind of see that here. Take a look at this. You can see where the price, just before it spiked up, the Ichimoku cloud broke, right? Because the general rule of thumb is when the price is above the cloud on the 1-hour chart, it's considered a buy signal. When it's below, it's considered a sell signal. The price never really dropped below. Whereas when the MACD indicated on the 4-hour chart that we had a convergence, hypothetically that would have been the best case and point to enter somewhere in this range here. And then of course, just after that, the cloud had broke, therefore kind of giving us that extra buy signal. Again, it's really easy to identify that right now. I get that. But that's usually what you want to try to look for. There's commonly a correlation between the MACD on the 4-hour chart when we have a convergence swinging in an upward fashion and the Ichimoku cloud. And when those two kind of coalesce or communicate together, then you see something like this happen often. It doesn't usually happen this large because this is a very significant increase, but that is just something to note. Let's take a look, see if we can find any other support and resistance levels here. We may have a support here as well, right around 770. So we'll mark that. But all in all, I would recommend, considering the fact that the price will probably continue down to 6. If it doesn't, great. We might see it go sideways here from 770. But make sure you honor the support and resistance levels, because that's really all we have to rely on when we're in this uncharted territory, when we get new higher highs and higher lows. Obviously, we have that right now, but time will tell here soon what actually will occur. So let's take a look at TD sequential here, and I'm sure we got a reset. Yeah, there's a 9. So as you can see, we got the 1 counting up to a 9, and then it resets. So there's a hypothetical potential for 7 more hours of bearish divergence where the price is going to continue downwards and or at least go sideways to get a few resets here. So that way we can get that the possibility of an upside again. So we'll see. Really, honestly, all we can really do right now is see how the support and resistance levels are going to work moving forward, and essentially just make sure that we wait for confirmation. And when I say confirmation, you got to wait to ensure that that the candlesticks are closing either above or below these points. And once they do, then you can kind of get that, okay, it's supporting itself or it's resisting it at this line. But if the price continues to kind of stay above this support here at 770, then it might be a consideration to either add to your position, or honestly, I'd recommend selling. It really depends on where you're at in your overall big picture, right? Because if you're looking to swing trade for a long time, or hodl, then you probably find to hold on to your position. But honestly, when the price goes this high this fast, there's no reason to hold on to the full position. I would have at least sold half of my percent when we got the initial spike, and then maybe consider selling another 50% when you get closer to these support levels. Again, everyone's a little different. I do things different myself. I'm more of a conservative trader. I like to take profits when I can. I'm okay with a 0.5%, right? Because again, depending on how much you're leveraging, 0.5% can be a significant amount. So just make sure that you don't get greedy. In situations like these, the probability of going much higher is pretty low right now. Again, depending on the fundamentals. If there's some kind of major fundamental catalyst that causes this to come up, it might come up again. But you got to think about this. I mean, that was almost, it's what, 170% in just roughly to say 12 to 16 hours. That's a significant increase. And that is way too fast of growth for it to be able to continue up. It has to go sideways and consolidate for some time before it continues even further. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at there for that. Let's look at the 15-minute chart here. And just to quickly identify, we are under VWAP now, so we lost that support level, so now resistance. And when it comes to EMA, we are kind of trending towards EMA. So EMA might be able to hold the price up, as well as a support level of 770. So we'll definitely see what happens here soon. But I would say if we lose this EMA line and this support here, and the price drops below for just say a couple of hours, then we should set our targets on the potential that this is going to come down to about 615 range. If it holds here for just say 2 to 3 more hours, maybe we even get a 4-hour candlestick to close above 770, then that's a good confirmation that the price will probably continue sideways and maybe not retrace as far as I'm expecting. I hope it does stay put and at least go sideways and then increase again. But just keep in mind, any good bull run has to have states of consolidation. Like a bull run should literally look like this and not this, right? It shouldn't look like a flag, because oftentimes that can break to the downside. But when it comes to a good bull run, quick increase, fine, followed by consolidation, increase, consolidate. This one has done nothing but increase, and therefore it has to kind of retrace now. It has to come back down. Instead of going sideways, it's going down. And that's the unfortunate nature of the way that these pumps work. Unfortunately, you see that a lot in crypto, where a lot of us are going to be buying up here thinking it's going to continue up, and it doesn't happen. So do yourself a favor. Anytime you see something pumping like this again, wait for it to come back down by the dip closer to a support level, or get in before it goes too crazy, and try not to ever get into something that is extremely overextended. So we look at the variance between the VWAP and the price action, and that was upwards of about 40% at one point. So that means that the standard deviation was so high. Anything over 10% is considered to be a large variance. When you have a 40% standard deviation from the VWAP line, that is just insane. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, VWAP is a volume weighted average price. That's this blue line here. It takes the volume in the last 24 hours, expresses it as a price, and it works as a support and resistance level. And this being a support level, it was lost, right? So we lost the support level when the price came back down, and now it's trending under. Therefore, it's considered a resistance. So if the price tries to come back up and break, it'll likely break to the downside, because that's now a resistance level. Okay, so it's working itself into this little channel here between 770 and approximately 815. So if again it breaks to the downside, we get a couple of hours of closing candlesticks underneath 770. It'll probably work itself into a channel between 615 and 770, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I'll make sure to do another review for my community members here, of course, moving forward, to get a closer look at this, to see what happens here in the next 24 to 48 hours. But my prediction, so to speak, for lack of better terms, is that the price will go sideways and to retrace down to about 615. I think it's likely that the price will stay close to the 770 range. But if we get the 4-hour candlestick to close below 770, then it's going to be considered bearish divergence, and we're going to see the price action continue downwards. Okay, So just something to note there, and be careful, be cautious if you're in this here. Consider taking your profits if you're profitable right now. I don't care if it pumps up again and you miss out on those profits. I think it's important that you take it when you can, because there's nothing worse than leaving money on the table, right? I'd much rather lose potential of gaining more money and either break even or be profitable than to have a potential, hundreds or thousands of dollars in my pocket and then all that money goes away and I lose everything. There's nothing worse than that. So again, you don't want to gamble with your money. Take the profits when you can, and make sure that you survive to trade another day. That's the important thing, right? Trading is survival. That's the bottom line, and you want to make sure to survive in this industry. And the only way to do so is to get the money while you still can. That's why we're all here, of course, to ensure that we're profitable. So I hope you did find benefit. If you did, link in the description below for my Telegram community. You can subscribe as well, of course. And check out my Patreon account as well. I do have an opportunity where I share all my trades with my community members, and everyone learns and grows together. It's a really great experience. So be sure to check that out in your own time. And without further ado, we'll wish you a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.